Hello, viewers. Today we will be discussing a very important law, that is law of diminishing marginal utility. So, the law of diminishing marginal utility is one of the most important law of consumption theory. It is also known as Gauss's first law, after the name of an engineer and economist H. Gaussen, who propounded it, but the law was later modified and was made popular by Alfred Marshall. So let's understand what exactly the law says. The law of diminishing marginal utility states that as more and more standard units of a commodity are continuously consumed, the marginal utility derived from each successive unit goes on diminishing. It simply means that as we consume more and more number of units of a particular commodity, the marginal utility derived from every additional unit will start decreasing. Or it can be stated as the additional benefit which a person derives from a given increase of his stock of a thing diminishes with every increase in the stock that he already has. So, here are a few of the important assumptions that are considered while the explanation of law of diminishing marginal utility. Continuous consumption. It means that the consumption should be continuous in nature and there should be no time gap between the consumption of each successive units by the consumer. Next is standard units. It simply means that each of the units should be identical in size. It shouldn't happen that one unit is bigger and the other unit is smaller in size. Next, utility is measurable in cardinal units. It follows that utility can be measured in cardinal units, that is called as utils, like we are getting 40 utils, 30 utils. Next is income of the consumer should be fixed. There should be no change in price of the good. Consumer is a rational one, means the consumer is having complete information about his consumption patterns, his satisfaction, and the market structure. Taste and preferences of the consumer should also remain constant. There should be no change in that. And the last one is marginal utility of money should also remain constant. And so the schedule and the graphical representation of marginal utility has already been covered in my previous video. If you need to watch that, you can go and find that video. So here is simply an image to help you get more clarity about the law. So in this image, you can see that when the consumer is consuming the first apple, he is saying that eating the first apple is giving the consumer a lot of satisfaction. Here the red mark is showing you the level of satisfaction that the consumer is getting by achieving that particular unit of apple. Further, when the consumer is consuming the second apple, it is providing not as much extra satisfaction as the first apple did to the consumer. So here we can see that the marginal utility, the red indicator, has been also decreased. Further, on consuming the third apple, eating the third apple will give even less extra satisfaction than eating the second one, and it thus proves the law of diminishing marginal utility, that as more and more number of units of the particular commodity is being consumed by the consumer, marginal utility goes on decreasing. So here is one more image to help you out. Like you can see that when the consumer is having the first slice of pizza, he is feeling extremely happy and he is experiencing extremely high level of satisfaction, and he is also saying that yeah, this is the best thing I have ever tasted. And when the same consumer is consuming the ninth slice of pizza, the satisfaction level of the consumer is extremely low, and he is saying that someone please stop me. It means that obviously he has already attained the point of satiety or point of saturation, but he was still going on consuming extra slices of pizza. So he is now experiencing negative marginal utility. Now comes the exception part. After understanding the law, it's very important to note that in which all conditions the law doesn't holds good or it doesn't work. So the main exception points here are money, expensive articles, hobbies, acquiring knowledge, having rare and antique goods, alcohol or other drugs addiction. So it's very much obvious that money will be an exception to this law, because suppose if you are working at any place and your salary goes on increasing, any employee will never say that I don't want my salary to get increased. So money is an exception to this law. If someone is having addiction of alcohol, smoking or other drugs, he will never experience negative or decreasing marginal utility in such cases, because he is having its habit. He will go on having extra satisfaction by consuming extra units of these goods. So these are the important exceptions that needs to be kept in mind. So this was all about the law of diminishing marginal utility, its assumptions and the exceptions that follows after this law. Thank you. Stay tuned.